Good morning, everybody. Matt with Occidental Nomad here. I bet you can't guess what day it is. Buddy, can you guess what day it is? Nah, he doesn't care because he's not going to help me. It's siding day. So, I cheated a little bit. I already got the front side done here, but I just got my third sheet on this side hung. It's 5 on each side, so I'll show you how I'm doing this. So, each sheet of plywood, it's 30 seconds, so they're relatively heavy. But the way you do this, I typically see people do it with a board. They screw a level board all the way along the bottom for the plywood to sit on, so you don't have to keep it held up there the entire time you're trying to get a couple screws into it. But what I did is I just took some construction screws and screwed them in between each stud on the level I want, rather than wasting a board. So it seems to be working just fine. Just set them up on the screws. So yeah, my framing's not the best, but you can see that gap is pretty well even all the way up and down. Some of these boards are a little twisted, bent left or right. That's even with hand picking them at Home Depot, so shows you the quality of lumber these days. The hardest part here is once you get it up there and a screw or two into it, is following the stud down and actually hitting the stud. Because yeah, they're technically on 16-inch on centers, but it always doesn't line up perfectly. And then what that causes, watch out, little bud, you end up with things like this, where the screw missed the stud. Oops, there's my finger. Missed the stud, and I had to put another one in there. So it's happened a couple times, no big deal. So yeah, so I've got 2 more sheets to do on this side. It's going to be 2.5 sheets on the back, and then 5 more sheets on that side. Oop, sun's in our eyes there. 5 more sheets there. So I'll get those all hung up with, 3 or 4 screws each. Then I'll go back and put some additional screws in. The front, I think it came out pretty darn good. Like I said before, I decided I didn't want to have to cut a sheet of plywood to fit around, or a sheet of siding to fit around the door. So I bought cedar fence boards, cut them into slats. I think it looks pretty good. There's some horizontal ones there, some vertical ones above the door. I still got to put one more here. I'll have to trim it because they're 5.5 wide, and then each corner is going to get the same thing. So I've got one here, and then I got to trim one for here. Now, since this thing's exactly 20 long and the sheets of siding are 4 wide, 5 of them is exactly 20 feet. So I pushed the edge of this sheet back, enough to get a trim board in here, which is obviously going to push the last piece of siding off the edge this direction a few inches. So I'll probably have to trim the last piece of siding on this side and on that side, so I can get another cedar board here. And on the back, it shouldn't be a problem. Another cedar board there. So yeah, that's where we're sitting at. Inside, same situation with the rafters. I've got 5 of them up right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no, sorry, 6. The roof's going to be the very last thing I do. I wanted to get these siding on there just to give it the extra kind of structural. You get the side to side. When you put plywood on the sides, it reduces that shimmy. So actually, let's pop up in here and I'll show you what else I got going. So did a little bit of just prep work in here yesterday. I'm gonna have, see, I got some shelf brackets running all the way along there. I'm gonna have a shelf. Let's get over here out of the sun. I'm gonna have a shelf that runs all the way across the top of those, across that beam. So a 20-foot long shelf. It's gonna be for some displaying some collectibles and stuff that I have. So I think that'll be pretty cool. It'll be nice on that tall side. So then I had a few extra brackets. Put some here to have a shelf above the door. The nice thing is, you open the door, and it doesn't hit it. It clears the and go all the way, and it'll clear that. So that works good. Oh, and also on the door, I added the hole for this wasn't quite deep enough. It was just barely engaging, so I added this security strike plate as a secondary, and then I added a secondary strike plate for the deadbolt. It's a little crooked, but it's all right. And then the screws for those big long screws are all going into this 4x4. But then I added a metal reinforcement bar along here, so if someone tried to kick the door in, it's not going to go anywhere. So yeah, just little things here and there. Oh, I did buy one of these. Home Depot sells these. You know, you get the big 4x8 panels of foam insulation, but they sell these packages. They're like $11. It's basically the same stuff. It's styrofoam insulation, but they're already cut to 16.5 on centers, which is 14.5 between the boards. So, and then on here each, how many boards are in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 in there, and each one's 3/4 of an inch. So 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches. So you got 4.5 inches of depth there, and you can use as many as you want. So it's kind of, I just stuck it in there to see how it sits between the studs, and it sits there nice. I just got to open that package up and pull a couple more out to shove in there, trim them at the top edge. I'm going to throw those in there just because I have, you know, no matter how close you get these boards, you get these slight little gaps. So I'm just going to fill it with that insulation there. So I'm not going to fully insulate the thing until, next year at least. So I'll probably just buy either this stuff or the 4x8 sheets and trim them one gap between the studs at a time, and then just over a few months just get it all done. So I'm not planning to spend the winter in here this winter, so even though I could with the wood stove probably. So but yeah, there's where everything sits. I'm gonna get this siding done, and we'll see you on the next clip. Well, this is the first one that didn't line up properly. The groove is in up there, but it's off down here, so I don't know if this board's warped or what. I gotta get it to go that direction a little bit, so take this screw out, see if that helps at all. There, that's a little better. There we go, okay. Yeah, that screw was a little too high. I think that's pretty good. Let's sink this one. Take this one I pulled out. That's pretty good there. Go up just a hair. Now it's good. Kind of got a guess on this first screw. I could see where the stud is in there. So. That's good. All right. And then I just pull out these bottom ones and put them in here. It's not totally perfect, but it's close enough. I think usually on this T111 you're supposed to put the screws in the grooves, but they don't all line up, so. All right. Just a few more to go. Woohoo! Siding is up. Oh, man, that was a lot of work. But we got it up all the way around. Once again, it's not the most perfectly square, but it'll do. Still got a few screws to throw in the middle of these sheets. I mean, they're up there. At least the corners and a couple extra screws are tacked. On this side, I ended up with a couple seams that didn't quite mesh. You know, the tongue drops into the groove and at the lower end here, and then you can kind of see it if I go. Just sticks out just a hair right there. because these boards were just slightly warped. But no big deal. I'm gonna probably put, actually you can see all 3 seams there where it kind of stuck out a little bit. I'm gonna get more of the 8-foot cedar boards that are going on the corners, and I'm gonna run vertical ones at the seams. It'll just give it a little extra character and kind of cover over that spot that's not perfectly flush. So the other side is perfectly flush, but I'll do the same over there just so it looks the same all the way around. So, all right, major milestone. I'm going to end, this is episode 2 of the build, so I'm going to end it here. Episode 3 is going to be the roof, which is the thing I'm really not looking forward to, and the last trim, so the corner trim. This up here, I've got another 1.5 sheets of plywood to cut there and trim that. And then I got to come in and put blocks there and figure out what I'm going to do there. Might do more cedar there. And then, of course, between the rafters, I got to do bird blocks so they don't get inside. So I'll do episode 3 will be all that. Roof, trim, and done. And, of course, there'll be more to come later once spring hits and I got some more money again. I'm gonna come out here, I'm gonna finish the deck. A couple $100 in treated lumber will finish that deck. And then what I'm doing is kind of at an L off the deck here, I'm gonna build a small shed that'll go straight out that way at a 90 degree. It's probably going to be, well, let's see. This deck sticks out 70, and I was planning to do a sheet of plywood lengthwise and then 2 sheets of plywood that way. So it'd be 8 by 12. So I think that should be just about right. This corner's just short of 6 feet, so 8 would stick to about there. It's just going to attach to the side of the deck, stick out to about there, and then 12 back. And that is going to be my shower slash bathroom slash storage shed. I've got a lot of leftover materials, some real crappy boards that I'm going to, 2x4, crappy 2x4s that I'm going to double up on studs. I can use them if I double them up. I got this full extra sheet of tongue and groove, plus about a 1/4 sheet of tongue and groove. I got a bunch of 4x4s treated and some 2x6s treated. Got a little bit of, I'll probably have a little bit of leftover siding, but I won't really need that. I think I'm going to do metal siding on that. So, yeah, that'll be the project for next spring. But major milestone, like I said, and we'll see you in episode 3. Hey, everybody. Matt with Occidental Nomad here again. First clip of episode 3, I think, of the cabin build. I'm trying to get some trim and stuff done here before I do the roof. The roof is the main part of the episode. So I'm trimming the edges of these in cedar boards. And then I decided, since I had a couple sheets of T111 that the seams didn't line up perfectly, I'm going to use cedar boards at each seam. So I'll show you here real quick. So I've got one on there already. The screws at the top aren't in yet, but that one's right on a seam. And I'm doing the same thing further down. So I'll just go ahead and put one more of these up. And I'm pre-drilling these because the cedars, these are only like 3/4 inch or maybe 5/8 inch thick boards. So I don't want them to crack. So let's pre-drill these. And then to make it even easier, I'll stick the screws in the beginning of the holes, so all I got to do is sink them. Okay, let's throw this board up. Okay. So I've just got 2 more of those to do on this side. I still do have to do the back corner trim. And then I think I already got the other side done. Yeah. So I already got I finished these 2 front corners, and then I've got the 4 seam boards there done. So, all right, I'm gonna do these last 2 in the back corners, and then the next thing I want to do is up top. Kind of hard to see from here. I got an extra sheet of T111, so I'm gonna rip cut it and hopefully have enough to cover the 18-inch riser up there. So, all right, see you when it's all done. Good morning, everybody. It's about a few minutes to 10 o'clock. I already had breakfast, and I'm gonna get some work done. I keep getting asked, is the roof on? Is the roof on? And I'm like, no, the roof's not on yet. I got those 5 rafters up, 10 more to go, but I always save the biggest pain for last. So what I'm doing today, well, at least the beginning of today, is some trim stuff. I'm going to finish the trim outside. I only have 3 or 4 more boards to put up. That'll go pretty quick. And then inside here, gotta position this so the sun doesn't blind me. So I've put some shelf brackets up, and I bought some boards for the shelving yesterday at Home Depot. So I've run the shelf brackets all the way along the upper wall there, and then I bought these shelf brackets that have the hook on the front for the garment rod. My dad had a couple of these 8-foot garment rods. So in this corner, my bed is going to be right there, and it's going to extend this way. I'm just going to have a twin bed right here. So, and then my storage racks are going to be along this wall, and they extend out 30 inches. So it'll extend to that stud. So the last bracket comes to this stud. I'll end up cutting that off. so I can still pull the totes out. And then I'll be able to hang some clothes and stuff up on that rack, as well as putting shelf boards on top of those. So let me show you what I got going for the shelf boards. Honestly, even common pine boards are ridiculously expensive. A 1x8x8 was like $18 at Home Depot, and I'm not paying that. So I was just walking around the store looking for alternatives, and I found these stained fence boards. They're 1x6. So on that long wall, I'm just going to use them. That's going to be the full depth of the shelf. That's all I need. And then on top of that one with the garment rack, it's going to take 2 of these, because those are actually a 12-inch bracket. So these are quite cheap. They're like $3-something each. They're 6-footers. Just ended up being way cheaper, like half the price of buying common pine boards for shelving. And I hate the press board stuff, like the white and black ones. They're just horrible quality. So the thing I do need to do is, these boards are fairly rough finished, and I'm going to have some stuff sitting on top of them that I don't really want to get the bottoms to get damaged. So I'm taking my sander and just knocking down the rough edges real quick. I mean, this is pretty simple. Let's show you. So I don't want to hit them so hard it takes off the stain that they put on there. I like that kind of walnut stain they've got on there. But all it does is it just smooths out and takes those little rough patches off. So I'm going to sand a bunch of these and then get them up there and there for shelving. So, all right, see you on the next clip. All right, got the shelving up right here. Opens past the door just fine. They're all screwed in and solid. Comes along here. Used a couple smaller brackets there because I didn't have any more of these fancy ones. Plus, I might eventually put a window right there, so the lower profile brackets are better. And same thing up here in the corner. This one goes all the way across, crosses these cross beams, goes all the way down. Originally I was going to go all the way to the corner with that shelf, but the length of boards I have are just a little short, and putting that larger shelf with the garment rod kind of filled the gap. There's a slight gap between them, but that's fine because, you know, if stuff's hanging off of here, it won't hit it. So yeah, perfect. All right, time to finish the outside trim. All right, everybody, it's time to do the rest of these rafters. I had 5 of the 15 up, so I got to do the other 10. Show you here. I already marked for the birds' heads the other day, so measured up and over. I just got to cut that out on both ends. So we'll do that with a circular saw real quick. Now, since we're using a circular saw, to get a perfect angle there and not go too far, you actually have to stop and then just finish it off with either a hand saw. I figured this hacksaw actually works best because it doesn't grab as bad. All right, so there we go. Bird's head cut out. It's for the lower end of the roof. And then I'll come down and do this one. One thing I figured out when I marked these the other day, when I put the first one up, this one's on the upper end of the roof. My mark here is just a little too far this way, so it left a little bit of a gap between the face and the rim joist. So I'm actually going about a quarter to a half an inch, like a third of an inch, this side of that line. So yeah, I got, I think 9 more to cut out here, so I'm gonna get those done, and I'll see you on the next clip for putting them all up. Five more to go. And they're in. Trying to block the sun a little bit. Got all my rafters in and completely screwed down. All right, next step is the roof. Actually, no, sorry. Next step is I've got some 1x3 crossboards going. That'll go this direction for a little extra support. Actually, they're more for something to add additional screw-in points than support. The 16-inch on centers for these is strong enough. Wish I didn't have to add those cross beams, but I think they're going to be necessary. So, all right, this is the last clip for this episode, and the next episode will be roofing and any final little bits here and there. So, see you next time.